Hi everybody! Today I'm going to show you a quick little tutorial on how to do fake stitches, like a sort of makeup effects type thing. So the tutorial that I'm going to do today is basically the tutorial that people who are planning Abaddon cosplays have asked for. This is what I originally started doing this sort of makeup for. I originally did it to be able to do an Abaddon cosplay. And Abaddon, as anybody who watches Supernatural knows, she has her neck is stitched all the way around, as are her hands. Like her hands and her head were cut off and she stitched them back on. So that's the look that I'm going to be trying to recreate. So let's get started. So make sure you start with clean hands, the clean area you're doing. Today you're going to need liquid latex. I use Ben Nye. You can use whatever brand works best for you. Your makeup that you normally put on your face, whatever matches your skin tone. Brushes, just any regular cheap brushes will do. The Ben Nye bruise wheel, talk more about that later. You can also use eyeshadow if you want, you don't have to use this. Also use fake blood, scissors, sewing needles, thread, little makeup sponges, so you can buy these for like 20 of these for like $1. And toilet paper or paper towels, something that's not as textured though, you want something that's a little bit smoother. And what you're going to do with the toilet paper is you're going to tear off the square. And then usually toilet paper is made up of 2-ply or 3-ply, meaning it's 2 sheets that are glued together. So you just take those sheets and you pull them apart like so. It's where you have 2 or 3 very much thinner pieces. And you're going to tear those up into little jagged pieces that have like jagged corners, are not square corners or edges. So make sure that your hands are clean. Take off my rings. I'm going to start with my right hand because I'm left-handed, but you might need someone else's help doing it all the way around. You don't want to bend your wrist backwards while you're doing this. When you bend it backwards and put liquid latex on, when you bend it forward, it'll be really wrinkly. That's actually a technique that people use to make someone look older with makeup. So you want to either keep it completely straight the whole time or bend it slightly in, and then when you put your wrist normally, it'll stretch it out and make it look a little bit smoother. So put some liquid latex onto your sponge and just start dabbing a thin first layer onto your wrist. Normally you would put it all the way around because Abaddons go all the way around her hand, but just for the purpose of a quick tutorial, I'm just doing one side with really unclean edges just to show you what it looks like. So after you put one layer of liquid latex down, put down 1 layer of tissue paper or toilet paper, whatever you end up using, and then put some more liquid latex onto your sponge. It's probably a better way to do it than how I'm trying to do it one-handed, but then you dab that liquid latex over the edges and in the middle on top of your first layer, like so. My edges are going to be really unclean because I'm doing it really quickly, but you want to try and make sure that your edges stay down. After you've put about 2, maybe 3 layers of tissue paper on, put 1 more liquid latex cover over all of it and let it dry. Now that it's dry, some of the layers of liquid latex might have dried a little bit clear. It doesn't matter, you're gonna cover up anyways. Take your scissors and be super careful with this part. My scissors are really tiny, but they're really sharp. You want scissors you can get a nice, clean, precise cut with, and cut your wound, or you cut your liquid latex in half. So if you're doing Abaddon's stitches, you're going to do it all the way around your hand. Like I said, I'm just doing this one part, so I'm only doing one cut. But just be really, really careful, because it's easy to poke yourself, hurt yourself, stab yourself, cut yourself. It's really easy to do that, so just go slow with it, take your time, and cut an incision into your wound, or into your liquid latex. And you should have this really gross looking incision. It's going to look even more gross once we put makeup on it. Just pull it apart a little bit. Now take whatever foundation you use. I use liquid foundation, and I put that on a little makeup brush, and start covering the liquid latex and inside the wound in makeup, blending it really well to match your skin. You don't want it to look fake, so you want to really get it into those little, every single crevice, and try and make it as realistic looking as possible. And make sure you also put makeup on the inside, even where your actual skin is, just to make sure the tone is all even. Any part that's still white from the liquid latex you want to cover up. Now take your, any kind of powder that you put on. You want to get a powder that will match your skin tone, or alternatively a translucent powder that doesn't have any color, anything to set, because you know if you use liquid foundation sometimes it can get really oily and look really unrealistic. So this is what the powder is for. It's to set all the makeup in place so it doesn't slip around and it doesn't look really oily, it doesn't get really oily or look really shiny. So any kind of powder will do, translucent or your skin tone. Next I'm going to use eyeshadow. Now you can use eyeshadow for the remainder of all of the effects. I use eyeshadow just for the base because I use my Master Bruise Wheel from Ben Nye for the rest of it, but you can use regular eyeshadow if you have all of the right colors, like deep reds and blues and browns and stuff. You can use that. So I put a nice dark brown layer of eyeshadow in the crevice of the cut, so where my actual skin is, in between the liquid latex. Basically, the deeper a cut is, the browner you want it to be. So now this is my Ben Nye Master Bruise Wheel. You can get this at any good special effects costume store, or if you don't have one near you, you can get it online at any good FX makeup costume website. It's about 15 bucks, and I use it for everything. It was well worth the money for it. And it's all these colors that simulate bruises and cuts. So I use it for bruise effects, I use it for scrapes, and obviously for this. So I'm going to load up my brush. It's like a little creamy makeup, so I'm going to load up my brush with a dark reddish brown and a dark red, and I'm going to apply it over the top of that eyeshadow to kind of set the eyeshadow and to mix colors so it looks a little more natural. And then I'm going to start to bring those colors slowly up outside of the cut. You guys know that whenever you have cuts and stuff, especially really bad ones that have been victim to a lot of trauma, like, you know, getting your hand cut off, it will inflict a lot of trauma on the areas around it. So there will be bruising, there will be red marks, there will be discoloration of the skin, there will be, you know, it'll make it look a little like infected, it'll make it look really gross. And we do this not only to make it look more realistic, but also to hide up any imperfections in liquid latex so it doesn't look like liquid latex. So after I do some reddish, I also take a little bit of purple and blue and just kind of add that around, make it look bruised. And you can see it's really starting to pull together and look really gross and, well, really gross. So add some more dark red on the little crevice where the wound is, and make sure you blend out all of the red on your hand. So this is the most fun part for me. You take a needle and some thread this needle, and you're going to now sew up your wound. So this is another part that you have to be super careful with, because every single time I do this I always stab myself and it can end up, you know, being a real cut instead of a fake one. So you're going to start by going through the bottom or the top, whichever one you start with, the bottom layer of latex, going underneath it and going back through the upper layer and then connecting them, just like you're sewing something regularly. Exactly how you think stitches work, you know, you just sew it up. So you're going to take this needle and thread. This is why I like doing the fake stitches with liquid latex, because you can actually sew it like it's real. It's not like gluing thread or anything to make it look like stitches. It's real. It's really stitching up this fake skin, and it looks really gross and really authentic. I did something similar to this for Halloween, and I was on the public transit in the morning because I wore my costume to work, and people were really freaked out by it. So you want to make sure you pull it tight, not too tight. It depends on how loose you want the stitching. Sorry, I didn't realize my hand was out of frame there, but you want to pull it a little bit tight just to make sure it looks like it's being pulled together. When the Winchesters are sewing Abaddon's head back on, they weren't doing it to be really accurate. They were just kind of doing it really quickly to get the information they needed out of her. So you can make it look a little messy. It doesn't have to look like a surgeon actually did it, because that might actually look too fake. The same with when she was sewing her hands on, she was probably doing it really quickly just to be able to escape. So once you get to the end, tie it off. If you're doing it for Abaddon's, you're going to do it all the way around. So you're going to just go all the way around and then tie it off at the end. And cut your excess thread, and now you have this really gross stitched wound. But we're not quite done. There's still a couple more things we can do to make it look really gross, but like me, if you're like me and you like this really gross stuff, you can like touch it and freak out your friends. So you're going to go back to the bruise wheel or your eyeshadow, whichever one you're using, and just make sure after you've sewn it, sometimes you can knock around a little bit of the makeup. So you just want to go back with your deep reds and go back in the crevice and just make sure you really get it looking gross and infected and just generally nasty. Make sure you get it around the holes where the thread has come out, just to give it that extra touch of authenticity. Blend out your reds down on your arm. So now this is another one of my favorite parts. You're going to take your fake blood, and I like to use Ben Nye because not only is the consistency really awesome, the color's really awesome, it looks like blood, but you can also use it around your mouth because it tastes like peppermint, and I mean, it doesn't taste really great, but it tastes sort of like peppermint. This little bottle I think was $4 or $5, and I mean, it has lasted me forever. So take a clean brush, dip it in the fake blood, and just put little dabs of blood in between the cut, in between the stitches, and that's going to make this look extra gross. It's going to make it look like it's still bleeding, and there's going to be crusted blood on it when it dries. If you build it up enough, it can dry really sludgy and gross. Make sure you put some blood around where the holes of the stitches have come out, so you can also make it look like it was bleeding when you're trying to stitch it up. I mean, at this point, this thing is going to be looking just absolutely disgusting, and that's kind of the point. So here's the finished product. You can use a thicker string if you want something to look, if you want it to look better in pictures, if you want it to be more prominent. I think Abaddon's stitches are a bit wider, using a bit wider string. You can also do different kinds of stitches, so like crisscross, what have you, but yeah, just change it up, do whatever you need to suit your needs, and that's it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial, or at least it made sense, or what have you. Sorry for my voice, I'm still getting over this like really awful flu, and I know I sound like I have kind of low energy, but I wanted to be able to get this out as soon as possible. If you guys have any questions, feel free to drop me a line or something, and I can try and help you as best as I can. Like I said, I'm not an expert at all in makeup effects, so there's probably better ways of doing this, but just try and figure out what works best for you, and if you have any questions, let me know. And thanks for watching!